I put some new shoes on and suddenly everything is right. I said, hey, I put some new shoes on and everybody's smiling. It's so inviting. Oh, short on money, but long on time.
Welcome back to the Next Play podcast. I'm your host, Alec White, here with my co-host, Nate Schaefer, and special guest, Jared Groff, and his special guest. What's your special
Nala.
guest?
This is my little Nala bear.
Nala.
Back to bed, buddy. Sup? Sup,
Right.
sup, my chillins?
Sup? All right. First podcast of 2021. Happy New Year, fellas.
Happy New Year.
New Year.
It's crazy to hear the words 2021, especially for Jared and me, and it not really mean anything significant anymore. Because for a lot of years, I'm still getting used to that. Like, I haven't updated my Instagram or anything to say like class of 22 yet, because I just seems really
I haven't either,
weird
yeah.
to me.
I was born on the 21st of a month.
Oh,
so
I lied. The
do with
21
that
is
what you will.
you.
Yeah.
Jared, you were already older than most of your classmates, and now like being even a year older than what figures to be.
Yeah.
I figure most of your original class did not hold back.
No.
So now you're going to be like the oldest of the old
I will be
members
old.
of your class.
I will be a senior. I will be a senior citizen. And I wonder, I don't know. I'll be old. That's the bottom line. There's no real way around it. It's unfortunate.
How do you think being even a year older is going to affect your senior year?
I don't know. I mean, don't feel older, so that's the answer. That's all I got. It's just,
You
I'm
don't
20.
know.
I'm 22 years young, and I'm too young to be worried.
I'm too young to be worried. I'm not worried. I'm young. When do you cross that line from youth to worriness?
The kettle. Sorry, guys. I got a call. Decline. Sorry. Repeat.
When will you cross that line from youth into worriness?
When I get a job, probably, or sometime around then. That's when I'm thinking that it'll start going downhill for me.
As soon as you get a job, you just get really worried.
Yeah.
No, he just gets really old.
That's what I mean. I would get.
You got a mute thing there, Jared?
I don't know how to mute. Well, it's on my computer. I know how to mute my phone, but I don't know how to mute the computer.
Oh,
Ask Siri.
Hold on.
You could do.
Wait, I can do it on my whatever. He's not.
Do you answer phone with your
Siri,
computer?
Stop with the FaceTime stuff.
Max can
Stop
do
it.
That. Could you try again?
If you do it again, you're fired.
Could you try again?
She's useless. All right. Fire. Shoot. Next question.
Who's gonna win the NBA Finals this year?
Heart. This is a tough one. My heart is going with my C's, obviously.
Obviously.
There's no question there. My mind is very confused, so I'm just gonna say the C's because I don't know.
What's confusing your mind?
Look, okay,
in particular,
favorites probably have to be the Lakers, but they look very complacent to me, and I think they got worse. Everyone's saying they got better. I think they got worse. I think
as a roster, like in terms of talent,
huh?
Do you think they got worse as a roster in terms of talent, or just in terms of chemistry?
I think in terms of overall talent, they improved, but in the way that the pieces fit together, I think last year when they had JaVale, they had Dwight, they had those bigs, right? I feel like they had more of an identity. Whereas this year, I don't really see that physical identity being there. And it's going to have to be enforced by LeBron and AD, which I mean, they're capable of doing that, but I think last year they really had that physical identity that took them all the way. And I think going away from that, like, I hate the Marcus Gasol signing. I don't think that's a good signing. He's old. I saw him play against the C's last year in the playoffs, and he was unplayable in the playoffs because he's too old and he's too slow. So I don't like that signing. The Harrell signing, he's on a good contract, which is good, but he's a guy who needs like ISOs at like the mid post, which is like what you have AD and LeBron for. So I don't see how he fits in with them at all. He
Well,
doesn't
you
space the
don't see him
floor
coming
out.
off the second string at all, or I think they mostly gone for his defense, right?
He's not a good defender. And I used to think he was a good defender, but is proven pretty clearly last year in the Clippers that he's a little undersized and his defensive motor doesn't make up for that. So I think like they should have looked to get a guy like Ibaka who would have fit in perfectly with that team. And who got him? The Clippers did. And I think the Clippers quietly improved while everyone thought they got worse, and the opposite happened for the Lakers. I do like Dennis Schroeder on the Lakers. I think that's good. But they lost my guy Rondo. So
I mean, well, they didn't have any 3-point shooting. They needed some sort of guards.
shooting is not great, and like they're gonna have to rely on guys like Kuzma and Caruso in the playoffs to hit threes consistently. They're not gonna be able to go as far as they want to go, and I don't trust either of those guys.
I do agree with a lot of what you said. I think losing Rondo is going to make a bigger difference than a lot of people realize, especially in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing about like how he is like one of the few players of our time that's on a similar level to LeBron in terms of like the cerebral approach.
Yep.
Which I think is so important in the playoffs because
mm-hmm.
every decision is going to come down. Like it's going to really get played out over a 7-game series. And also what you said about them losing JaVale and Dwight, like yeah, that's like a meme squad. That's Shaqtin' a Pool Central, and a lot of guys are gonna say like they're just two big beef heads, like
right.
But that really was how they won a lot of games and how they won series. Like that's how they beat the Rockets. Yeah. I think that's how they beat the Nuggets. Like they just bullied them.
Threw size at them all game long, physicality and size.
Yeah, Marcus Gasol, like he's a smart, crafty defender, but he doesn't bring the same sort of athleticism. I mean, overwhelming size.
He was very good. He used to be really good. But he's not that same player anymore.
I loved Grizzlies Marc Gasol. Oh my god,
he was a really good defender too. Not that long.
No, didn't he beat LeBron for Defensive Player of the Year? It was really controversial.
He was a great defender, but he's not that guy anymore.
I'm totally on board with that take.
Yeah,
he's old. So I would say the Lakers, but I just don't love it. And then I can't say the Clippers because that's just embarrassing. Because I mean, they could. I think they could be very good, but again, they've got chemistry issues, and there's a ton of question marks with them too.
Who's the biggest threat in the East to the Celtics?
The Bucks and the Nets for sure. I think stand atop that list. Phillies look good so far.
You don't think that the Bucks are super prone to another playoff meltdown?
I think
did add Drew Holiday, but yeah. He's the magic bullet.
Bledsoe's so terrible. I honestly don't know how they ever won a playoff series with him.
Bledsoe needs to be like your 5th or 6th best player, and then he's in the right role. But
yeah,
I don't think he's talented enough, especially at this stage in his career where the athleticism is waning.
No,
he's not talented enough to pull weight as the third guy.
He doesn't make good decisions. I always see him making terrible decisions with the ball, and he's a point guard. It's like, what are we doing? Drew Holiday is like the complete opposite. He always makes great decisions, and he's locked down.
His defense is definitely just. I mean, hurts me to say, but I've seen a lot of times the Pelicans Blazers series. He just absolutely him and Rondo, which that's another thing the Lakers lost with losing Rondo is Rondo's defense.
Yeah,
they just absolutely locked down Dame and CJ, and it.
That's if your team relies on small guards, it's not going to be a fun time against Drew and the gang. They're going to be so good on defense. I mean, I wonder if they're going to have to rely on Giannis hitting shots ultimately to win. And if he hits them, then they can do it. If he misses them and he misses free throws late in games, then they're going to lose a lot of games by like 2 points in the playoffs, I think. So who knows? We'll see what happens. And then the Nets obviously are very talented.
I just got the alert. Kyrie went 7 for 7 in the first quarter.
Yeah, he's cooking right now.
Jeez.
I'm
He's
going
cooking
against
right
your
now.
squad in fantasy right now, Jared, and
How's he
seeing
doing?
KD sit out this week. I haven't looked at any of the stat lines tonight, but getting the news that KD was going to sit this week, I just thought to myself, well, Kyrie's like coming off a shitty loss to the Wizards, and everyone's torching him because him and KD both missed game winners in the last possession.
Yeah.
And now he's got the week to himself to just make up for all that
He's good.
online hate. And it's like, fuck, like
He's real good. He's real good. And KD also just looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
KD's his injury doesn't look like it's holding him back at all.
We were kind of in the game against them, and then KD ripped off like 12 straight points, and we were like, all right, well, that can happen at any point,
right?
and there's nothing we can do about it. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't even mad because it's like you got Grant Williams out there doing all he can, and KD just it's like Grant might as well be sitting on the bench with KD out there. He's taking practice walk-up threes. There's nothing he can do. He's just
I remember watching their opening night game against Golden State, and like he came out super hot, and like it was immediately like, wow, like he's back. But I still spent the better part of that game like sort of holding my breath and keeping my eye on him in terms of like how he's moving, how he's landing, how he's just looking like in terms of agility and mobility.
Yeah.
And the 2 weeks or so since then, like having watched a little bit more of him, like that fear is totally eclipsed by the fear of him just putting a bucket in whoever's guarding him.
But he looks super athletic.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to say.
At all. I mean, so that's. I mean, look, I as a basketball fan, I wanted to see him come back 100%. As a Celtics fan, just maybe not 100%, like maybe like 80%, and he's still really good. But it's 100, unfortunately, for the Celtics. So, but losing Dinwiddie does hurt for them. That hurts.
If you had to pick one team in the East to lose a playoff series to this year, who would it be? Who would hurt the least? Where would you get the least amount of sting?
I mean, it's going to sting no matter what. It's really going to sting no matter. Probably the Bucks.
Probably
like
the Bucks.
Hard-fought 7-game series. The Bucks would probably sting the least. The Nets would obviously kill because they got Kyrie out there.
That's what I was thinking.
I don't even want to think about losing to. I mean, we're not going to lose to the Sixers. I don't think we can.
Yeah.
Even if we tried.
Although I like the Sixers roster this year. They're
I like
a lot
the
easier
Sixers
to root
roster,
for.
but it's still the Sixers. We're going to beat them when it comes down to it. And I think
I haven't heard you talk about Miami yet. You're totally unworried again, just like last year.
I'm very unconcerned with Miami. I find myself more and more unconcerned with them with each passing day, just like I am with Toronto, who's an absolute show right now. And Miami, I'm not that worried. I'm really not.
What's different about your lack of concern with Miami this year? Because you were unconcerned with them last year in a convincing way. Like you had a mismatch on the wing, and that just didn't work out for you.
Yeah,
so.
well, yeah, that is true. So they did beat us last year. I think they could beat us again, but like in that series, we blew 2 20-point leads in 2 games, and our guys were young. And I think if we play that series last year with a healthy Gordon Hayward, I think we win the series, first of all. Second of all, I think that if we hold on to those 2 leads, obviously we win the games. And with our guys having more maturity, I'm like, if it comes down to the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals, I'm very happy with that. And I'll take that 10 times out of 10. And if we lose, then that's fine. But like, they're not a team that like scares me to the point where I'm like, all right, like, how are we going to beat this team? Like, I see a very clear path to victory against them. And I'll take us. And like Jimmy Butler's getting older. I don't think Bam's like getting that much better. Like, I think Bam kind of like he's very good, but I feel like he kind of is what he is. And I think like Brown and Tatum are just getting like a lot better right now. Like we're watching it. Like Brown.
So your lack of concern isn't completely dismissive, but it's more of they're the lesser of 2 difficult opponents.
There's a lot of
difficult opponents.
There's the teams I'm worried about are Brooklyn and Milwaukee. If we see them, Miami, they're good. Not that worried. Philly, they're also good. I'd put them in a second tier as like teams
And
that could.
Washington, you're just
I'm not worried about Washington at all. I think
okay.
I think we could sweep them.
You weren't worried about Miami, so I mean, we know how teams play
I mean,
when you're not worried about
the Wizards are like 1-6 right now. They got to worry about getting in first.
them. 2 wins, baby. 2 wins.
All right, 2
Watch
wins.
your mouth.
I mean, the Raptors only have 1 win right now, so
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm hearing is the Wizards are better than the Raptors.
I mean, I like the Wizards team this year. I do. I like their team. I think
I just out of principle can't.
They can't play defense. Their
I
defense.
180. I used to be a Russ hater, and just seeing
I
all the
actually kind of
content.
like Russ this year too. I'm liking. He seems like a really good guy.
He is. He gets way too much hate. Like I understand the hate for his skill set. Like it's sometimes frustrating to have a point guard that
people also really like promote him heavily. Like people really talk about him being like a top 10 player in the league, which is just not true. But like he's got a lot of stands out there, but he also I think gets a lot of hate. And I'm guilty of that for sure too. But
I 100% am on the Russ hate train.
But I mean, I think he seems like a very good person, and like he's a good locker room guy. And everything you hear out of Houston is like he was just fed up with how dysfunctional they were and how like people are showing up late, and he doesn't have time for that. And
dude, Russ works his ass off. Like I watched the first game thinking like I'm gonna hate this guy. Like he took John Wall from us. Like we're never gonna get very far with him. So like, what's the point? And then you're seeing him like tear down offensive rebounds and just sprint around all over the place and have like max energy, and it's like cursing out Dwight Howard for no reason. It's like, all right, like how can you not be rooting for this guy?
Yeah. And I mean, every teammate that he plays with loves him, even though they don't necessarily do better with him there. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. They are terrible on defense, though.
That's Thomas Bryant.
Yeah, and Bertans.
Hard to get a defense when you're center scoring on your own rim.
Yeah, he's tough. He's very tough. He's a two-way player.
It's a lot of teams are in shambles though right now, just across the league. Like, dude, even the Nets are 3-4 right now. The Nets are 3-4.
It's been such a wild start this season.
Like, and they're playing Philly twice this week. They're crushing the Jazz right now. But I mean,
so teams that are in shambles, like, do you think a lot of that is indicative to like it just being kind of a weird year, starting at a weird time? Like things are a little bit different, and teams aren't necessarily in sync this early. Or are there some teams like the Nuggets that are like 1-5 or something right now that like have some real questions to ask? It's not like a matter of time. It's like what's happening right now.
I think some teams are going to be fine. I think some teams are in big trouble. Okay.
Who jumps off the page?
By team basis. The Raptors are in big trouble.
Yeah.
The Raptors are in danger of falling apart this year. If they lose like 2 more games here without a win, like some people are getting moved. I think. I don't think Masai's sitting on that anymore.
Is that a move Lowry? Is that
something's happening? But something's happening because I mean it's just dysfunction. And I kind of feel bad for them because they're in Tampa. And watching the Celtics game yesterday, they were getting booed like the entire game at their home court, which is hilarious. And I hate Nick Nurse after watching him for 7 games and moan about Kyle Lowry not getting fouls every time he throws his body at the nearest defender. Respect Kyle Lowry, but no respect for Nick. And I actually watched his post-game temper tantrum, and it was really fun to watch.
This is off topic, but I think it was Nick Nurse who, in the series against the Celtics, like stood on the court in the corner during like
he did
during a Celtics fast break.
Yep. No, it wasn't a fast break. It was
secondary break or something.
30 left, and Tatum threw the ball out of bounds and we ended up losing that game. But yeah,
you think he did that on purpose?
I mean, he's wearing a white shirt, wearing white jerseys, and he's standing fully on the court, like in the corner.
And he looks just like a professional basketball player.
Well, I mean, Tatum's looking at the rim. He sees the thing out of the corner of his eye. I mean, he threw it at him. He clearly thought he was a player. Like
we saw Paul George throw the ball to the ref earlier this year.
Well, Paul George is I mean, Paul George is having a good year though. Let's give Paul George some respect. All right, Paul George is hooping right now.
I was on that train. I said, "There's no fucking way that he plays like he did in the playoffs last year." There's just
No.
Well,
No.
that was the problem with how he played in the playoffs. He was playing comparably to this the whole season. Everyone's like, "Oh, the Clippers gonna be so sick," and then come playoffs, they just laid an egg.
Yeah, I mean, they should have just beaten the Nuggets in that series, and then I think they would have beat the Lakers.
They should have just beaten the Nuggets.
I mean, they were up by 20 points
It
twice.
sounds that simple, and it really was that simple. Like they should have just.
They were so
them.
much better than the Nuggets. It was like a joke.
They
Like,
wanted the Nuggets to go ahead and lose,
yeah.
and the Nuggets didn't.
The Nuggets have some offensive firepower. That's why. And the Nuggets defense was not good last year, or it was good. It was obviously it was top 15, but
I think they lost a lot with Torrey Craig and Jeremy Grant walking. I don't think they're going to be as competitive in the playoffs.
Craig, but yeah,
those are the two guys that guarded the other team's wings, and I don't know who's going to do that.
they have no one who plays defense on their team right now.
Paul Millsap can't pull that off.
Only
Gary Harris struggles there. He's not.
Gary Harris is not that big. He's good against smaller guys, but
yeah,
they don't have anyone guard
yeah.
like LeBron or Kawhi.
I think they are in danger of being a first round exit team this year.
I agree. I think they're heavily overrated coming into this year too. You gotta love them coming back from 3-1 twice, but Jamal Murray ain't doing that again in the playoffs. I'm sorry, it's just not happening.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is it's gonna take a similar heroic effort for them to have a similar performance, and it's hard to bet on that, especially if they're not going to be in the bubble again.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Jamal Murray, what he was doing, before he got in the bubble. I have no idea. He turned into the greatest player to ever touch a ball, 5 weeks. Legitimately dropped 50 3 times. Literally no one has ever done that.
I followed a guy on Twitter that would
Michael Jordan hasn't done that before.
Yeah, it was crazy. I followed a guy on Twitter that did a summary of the last dozen Nuggets possessions of each game, and it would be Murray 2 points, Murray 2 points, Murray 2 points, Murray assist, Murray 3, Murray 3, Murray free throws, Murray missed 2 points, Murray 3, Murray free throws, game over.
Jeez.
It's all right, I guess that's how it's gonna be.
And they got Jokic too, so I mean,
Jokic is Jokic. Defensively, he's not doing really anything crazy, but he's so good.
He's not a net negative really. He's just
sorry, that's what I mean. Yeah, to the point you're making earlier, he's not.
He's not going to move a lot, but
right.
He gets a good defensive plus minus type statistic. I think his weakness as a rim protector really shows in the playoffs because. You watch the Clippers wings drive the basket. And he's almost getting out of the way. That's what looked like was going to lose them that series is Kawhi just dunking for fun.
Yeah, but I'd be interested to see if they could pair another big who can shoot the ball with him at some point in his career. Just because
Bol and Michael Porter Jr.
Now, Michael Porter's not really a big. Michael Porter's also terrible on defense.
Yeah, well, he's young.
But yeah, he could be good eventually. But right now,
I mean, he's 6'10" and can shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
And
Steph was.
What do you got? What do you got about Steph?
Steph was killing Spice's boys over there. That got ugly. That's why you can't play Canner. I feel bad for you. You got to deal with the Canner.
It wasn't even Canner, dude. We had everyone doing everything.
I saw Canner out there a few times.
Dude, Canner had 20. Canner had Cantor had 21 and he did not play bad.
Canner is booty.
How many points did he have? He had 24 and 12. He was kind of cooking.
Yeah, but he got cooked in high pick and roll every time he was on the court.
Yeah, but I mean, even without him on the court, Steph was.
If you were going to play Nurkic and Canner in high pick and roll against Steph Curry, I think you're lucky that he only got 62 dropped on you.
I mean, we played Nurkic and Canner at the same time at one point, which I hated.
Why would you do that?
I don't know.
Two bigs this year. Why is there this whole two bigs thing going on?
I don't know.
He's been starting two bigs the whole year. Hopefully, he'll finally stop because we get torched in every first quarter. Because he wants to play Tyson and Tristan at the same time to start the game. It's what are we doing? What? it doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense.
No, in the bubble, we tried doing it with Whiteside and Nurk. And
it's not going to work.
Against the Lakers, it worked because you had to.
We needed someone to guard AD and someone to.
It's stupid. I would never do it ever. I've watched it on the Celtics enough now, and I'd never want to see it again in my life.
But what if you're playing a Lakers team where like LeBron is the third or fourth least physically imposing player?
He's still the most physically imposing.
Okay, but like definitely pound for pound. But like, there's an argument to be made that JaVale, AD, and like Markieff Morris out there are like tearing people up. Yeah.
Jeez, yeah.
My boy Keith right there. No,
I feel like there's a place for two bigs in stretches against a lineup like that, but otherwise you got to be very careful of having too many slow people on the floor.
Well, the problem the Blazers had was that we were also short. We were like down a man in our bigs because Zach Collins got hurt, and he's hurt again.
Yeah.
What is up with him? He just always gets hurt.
I hate that when that happens.
It's brutal because like when he's playing, he's actually pretty good. Like
I've been there. Yeah, I had Gordon Hayward
like
for 4 years.
If he has like a couple years to like actually play a full season, he could actually.
I'm like, dude, trust me, he's good. Whenever he's healthy, he's good. But it just never happens. So
just like back like foot, whatever. And so I didn't like that against the Lakers because then, I mean, one, we were playing like Wenyen Gabriel, who actually I kind of like.
New England area product.
Huh?
Greater New England area product right there.
Where?
I kind of liked him. He was scrappy.
Area.
He just was very clearly not ready.
Straight out of New Hampshire, baby. Straight out of New Hampshire.
What state is that? Is that in Canada?
New Hampshire, it's close. I went skiing there today, actually. It's close to Canada.
Canada's close.
Canada's close, yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah, he's good.
All right, so we definitely I gotta hype up my fantasy format that I brainstormed a few weeks back.
I lost by 3 points last week to Lowe's.
I was on Zoom with Lowe's. We were playing Fortnite.
Oh.
And he was like checking his box score like every 5 minutes, seeing like if his guys were gonna pull it off, and he sneaked down the win.
Went for his career high against me. That was great.
Who?
Levine.
Zach Levine.
Yeah.
It's awful. And then look, I benched Tobias because he only had 3 games, but he went off. I'm like, what is Tobias doing this for? I was gonna drop Tobias and pick up Jeremy Grant. I'm like, who does he think he is? He's Tobias Harris. Does he not know that?
Tobias Harris.
Apparently not.
I think he's gonna do good. Harris. I think he's gonna do better playing alongside Doc Rivers because that's the only time we've seen him do better.
That's true.
So I feel like there's a shot. Yeah.
I totally didn't think of that. I should have thought of that completely, but it was stupid of me.
Well, and he's also.
I like my team though. I think my team's really good.
Let me take a quick second just to summarize the format.
Yeah, go.
So the 3 of us make up half of a 16 league. And even initially, like when we were thinking of the league, it was going to be a 14 league. That's a very small league for a fantasy format. And like when you would draft a team normally, like ESPN would have you, everyone's team's going to be nasty. Like everyone's going to have like 6 or 7 all-star caliber players and, you know, like average players that, you know, you kind of like and you want to root for and you want to be relevant wouldn't be relevant. They would never get picked up, you know. Think of someone like Jaylen Brown, honestly, like he would definitely have gotten picked up by now, but he definitely wouldn't have been drafted in a 14 league to start the year.
Yeah.
And like you want to have Jaylen Brown on somebody's roster because that's a fun guy to root for. Tobias Harris probably fits in the same boat.
Up Jaylen late. He's been cooking.
Yeah, exactly. So to combat that issue of everyone's team becoming nasty, we sorted all the players in the league into like different tiers. So we had like supermax guys that qualified for a supermax contract, and there's like a dozen of them, and you could have 2 of those guys on your team. And then you took the rest of the other all-star players, and you could have 3 of those guys on your team. And then like veterans, guys that are over 30, you could have 2 of those. Rookies and sophomores, 1 of those. And then like everyone had like the correct quota of players. And so that way, like everyone has a nice mix of different talented guys. And then also if you have Giannis and Luka as like your 2 best super max type players, but one of them gets hurt, like you're not absolutely screwed. Like you can go and pick up Jimmy Butler because he's on the waiver wire because everyone else had met all their franchise player quota. So like Jimmy Butler's still on the waiver wire. You can snag him, and it's not a huge L for you. So that's basically the gist of the league that we're running this year, and I want to hear some thoughts from you guys. What you think so far?
Tough to with the two vets. The vets are real bad.
There's very few vets that are potent enough to play in a format like that, because with our that little grab bag last category, like there's a lot of very good players that just, I mean, right now both of my vets are on my bench, mostly just because Aldridge got hurt. But yeah, also sorry, we only have 2 players on our bench in this league, which is also a factor because people don't stack really good guys. Yeah.
The idea was you're probably going to end up with 2 bad players on your team, maybe 3, like when you're looking at like your last grab bag guy, like one of your veterans, and maybe you got a young guy that wasn't like Ja or Zion. Like you're going to have 3 like guys that ordinarily would not play in this league. And you have to decide which of these guys are you going to start, which of these guys are you going to sit. And so I think that's another thing that was interesting is it didn't go in the same draft order as a regular league. Like Shea went in like the 2nd round because he was projected to be far and above the best grab bag player. So I think Connor picked Luka early, and then he went and got Shea. He's like, all right, like I'll just live with whichever last franchise guy falls to me. And he ended up with Tatum.
Yeah.
Which honestly might be better than like the second to last franchise guy that got drafted. I don't know who it was, but I mean, he's probably putting up better numbers than Embiid or somebody like.
Yeah.
I got Russ early. I might have reached on Russ, but Russ fills the stat sheet every night, so that's why I like him.
Not every night. He likes to take rest days.
Well, he does take rest days. Yeah, I didn't know he was going to do that.
Actually. Yeah, that hurts.
I assumed that he actually wouldn't do that. I tried to take all guys that weren't going to take rest days, but I forgot about Russ.
And Kyrie.
Kyrie will do it too, yeah. But they've honestly both been great for me so far. I can't even be mad.
I'm looking at our draft recap. So it looks like pretty much everyone but Connor. No, okay. Jules also picked an all-star instead of a second franchise player back-to-back.
He took Trae Young, right?
He took Embiid first, and then Connor, he took Luka first, and then Trae.
Huh. John Moran.
The 3rd round he picked Shea, which is when Zion and Ja also went, which I was really bummed about because I was going to try and grab Zion.
Why did I take Donovan Mitchell so early, dude? I don't know what I was thinking.
I mean, he still
I saw like Connor's draft strategy kicked in pretty early. Like I didn't really put as much forethought into it in terms of like what my actual strategy was going to be. I was worried about making sure everything was going to run seamlessly because it was a brand new idea. But once the draft picks started flowing, I was like, wait, who am I going to pick? Like, do I just pick the best player? And I saw Connor go out and snag Shea. I saw Connor go out, or somebody else went and grabbed Ja really early. Jules. And I was like, all right, like this is actually going to matter. Like, do I go?
I got Zion pretty early.
Yeah. Do I go?
Those were all the same round. Those were round 3, where Zion, Shea, and Ja all in a row.
So that's the question. Like, do you start plucking all stars in round 3, or do you like look for ways to maximize your competitive advantage in the other categories? And I kind of defaulted. Like, I was late to the game to the young guys, and I was late to the game on the grab bag guys. But I kind of defaulted to the veterans, and I snagged Gordon Hayward really early, and it's actually worked out pretty well for me because I think the veterans category is the one that bottoms out the quickest.
Absolutely.
And so to have a veteran that I can rely on every week is actually pretty huge. And I also got Michael Porter Jr., which is also like a very reliable guy. Like he's competitive in this league for sure. And so I have not struggled with filling my last spot in the lineup each week.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got Zion, so I'm pretty set there. And then I'm telling you, steal a draft. I got Jalen in this last round pretty much.
He wasn't even.
And you're not. Yeah, I was thinking like Jalen was definitely intriguing, but I was worried that his production would be impacted by the return of Kemba.
I ain't worried about that. That's not happening for a while, too. Kemba's going to be out for a while, unfortunately.
I'm just glad I picked up Jeremy Grant. I was really happy to grab him. I had DeLon Wright.
No one want to take Kyrie.
Not over who are my all-stars? Devin Booker, who Devin Booker actually hasn't been playing great. I thought
Devin Booker's just the Suns are cooking, and yet Devin Booker is putting up really, really non-Devin Booker stat lines.
Yeah,
like more turnovers than assists, like not poor field goal percentage, but just very low volume compared to what he's used to. And I'm thinking maybe Chris Paul showing up is just making all of Devin Booker's teammates better, and all of a sudden Devin Booker doesn't have to carry the weight of the world on his shoulders.
Kyrie's killing right now.
Kyrie is, how many points does he have?
Do I want to look at this box score right now, dude?
He's averaging 50 a game, fantasy points. He got 63 right now.
Jared, you're hyping up Jalen as steal of the draft, but I gotta nominate a different guy who Spice is gonna absolutely love.
Oh,
and I don't know how sustainable it is. Like it keeps blowing my mind, but it keeps every game he's just cooking like crazy, and it's CJ McCollum. Yeah. I think the way he plays is perfect for this scoring system because he's just a volume shooter, like volume. And when he's on, like he puts up like 60 a night. It's like what? And then his off nights are like 40 or so. He's averaging 52.
Yeah, the volume shooters are doing well.
Yeah, Dame is just not. I don't know what's been going on with Dame right now, but he has just not been looking like Damian Lillard. Like, which isn't even like, which is ridiculous to think because like I'm looking at the score now and he's had like 30, 20, 30, 30, but like he's just not dominating games like the way that he has been. Like CJ's very much been, I don't know, like the big buckets, the big everything. I think Blazers are kind of falling into one of those teams that we were talking about earlier that they just need a little more time to figure things out because like I've seen flashes, but there's also been times where like Robert Covington in the lineup it just like you can tell something's not clicking. I mean, we have players still playing Enes Kanter. I personally, guy I really has nothing to do with fantasy, but I really like Harry Giles. Every time he comes in, he does something really good. He played really good in the preseason.
That was a guy I wanted to see to take a look at.
Yeah, no, in the preseason he was cooking, and like I get it's preseason, but like even when he came in late versus the Warriors, and like I don't know, immediately like hustle play, like he got a really cool like highlight play where like dove on a loose ball and like flicked it back to CJ. He's just like a really big rebounder, and he can like kind of shoot, and he can actually play defense on like Kanter, and so I definitely would rather be playing him back up after Nurk, and Nurk's also young. He's young. Yeah, he's really young.
You got some potential.
Yeah.
We were, playing basketball, doing our thing. And then COVID happened. Season ended. Untimely end to the season. Then I went home. Finished up my classes. And what did I do?
We're a year in review, and we already got the COVID.
I'm doing it quick. I'm doing a quick one.
Okay.
Quick year, speed round. Had a little summer internship. After the summer internship, that was the summer because that was the summer's over after that. Then went to Spices, had a great time. It was awesome. Visited a bunch of national parks. Launched the Next Play podcast. Went to Joshua Tree. Went to Big Sur. Went to Yosemite. Went on a boat. Got pretty sick on the boat, but made it out.
You're allergic to like mold, like some sort of mold or.
Had some mold allergy problems. It was scary for a little bit, but it hardened me. It hardened me. It made me who I am today.
It really did.
I like to think that mold's still in me, making me stronger each and every day.
Biologically,
so I think that mold. And
mold's not still in you.
Well,
I hope it's not, dude. You need to get that sort of stuff out.
Yeah.
There's a little part. There are a few particles that are in there. Okay, my body's, subsumed them. They're now part of my body, and they're now going to be part of my immune system. They're going to fight against those spores. Next time I interact with them, they're not going to know it hit them. Okay?
Sickness enters your body and dies, correct?
That's all I was doing. I'm like, who's that guy in Super Smash Bros that eats the thing and gains its
Kirby.
powers. I'm like Kirby. I just walk around, I eat stuff, I gain its powers. That's what I do. All right. So that's what I did to that mold. Challenge accepted, challenge defeated. Went on from the mold, went home. And now I am home. And that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to get my pilot's license right now. I'm taking a course next week.
Oh, let's go.
Getting my written out of the way. I'm working for my high school team. We just lost our 6'10" prospect to Brewster.
Oh,
So that was tough.
brutal.
Yeah, he was really good. He was actually this guy is going to be really good. He might, I don't know if he's going to go to the NBA, but he's going to be a high D1 player. Which is a rarity out of Weston. I don't think we've ever had a player that good in Weston. So
I was gonna say, knowing most 6'10" high school basketball players, you would probably have hated coaching him because he would have been slow-footed and thick, all thumbs.
He was not. Kid can shoot, can put it on the deck. He's like, I don't think he realizes how good he is because it's like kind of scary. Like, because I'm like, dude, this guy's like 6'10". He's a sophomore in high school, and
sounds like a basketball player.
And he might get taller. They're saying he might end up being a footer. So
goodness,
it's too bad we lost him. Weston basketball would have been really good. But yeah, so we lost him, but we're still coaching. Had our first game yesterday. We lost.
Brutal.
But we'll be back for the next one. So, and then I'm trying to get my pilot's license, and I'm trying to go skiing because skiing is super fun. So I've been skiing a lot. I'll definitely try to visit Pete out there in Park City if any of you guys are interested in joining me on that excursion.
That's where he's working. He's working in Park City.
Yeah, and I'm visiting H2 on President's Day weekend in Vail and Breckenridge. So got some fun trips planned.
Dang.
Yeah, that's about it. So it's 2020. It wasn't the best year, but I honestly had a great time for most of the year. There were ups, there were downs, but come out the other side stronger, more self-aware, and ready to attack the next challenge.
Hell yeah, baby!
Wow, yeah.
Get better, have fun.
Yeah. Nate,
what was your 2020 do, Nate?
January was winter break. I don't really remember a whole lot from winter break. Just
that was when
playing Catan and practicing.
Yeah,
that
was when our team split between the I can't say that on a podcast, I guess, because
the Degens.
Yeah, the Degens. I was just gonna say something about NCAA somethings, but yeah.
Well, I was on the right side of that schism either way. So all hail Catan. Spice and I are the most dynamic duo to ever play the game. You heard it here first, and you heard it from anyone else. They were also right. So January, that was that. I actually just ordered Catan this afternoon. I got my folks hooked on it like a week ago, and
you did. You got Scott on Catan.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
I got my sister and my sister's boyfriend just came to visit last couple weeks, and I got my sister hooked on it too. The three of us would play.
It's poetic that the year begins and ends with Catan, because I think it was last winter that I first started really playing it. I think, right?
Yeah. Rye brought it back.
The Game of Thrones version.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, you got that for Christmas, and then we played it all winter break. Wow, that I've for some reason thought it'd been around longer, but that's absolutely the timeline.
The year has been longer, but Catan's lifespan has been very brief in our lives. Very influential. It's actually, that is very poetic that I was first getting hooked on it the first couple weeks of January, and I just now am buying it here in the last weeks of December. Or no, I bought it first week of January. 1 year lifespan. That's nice. So that was January. February was classes. I was enjoying my senior spring, pass failing half my classes, thriving, playing basketball. March was spring break. Having COVID hit the States on my birthday is definitely a very unique perspective on life. Like, we had an off day on my birthday and having a good enough time, pretty subdued for practice the next day, but having a good enough time for sure. And then just seeing like notification after notification roll in through like a 3 or 4 hour period of like the NBA shutting down and Tom Hanks has it. And then like all the stuff's hitting like, oh, like there's people in each state that have it now. Like it's for real. And that was wild. Like I'm definitely going to remember my 22nd birthday for the rest of my life. Just how all that unfolded on me. So that was poetic.
I think we were also playing Catan while it was happening.
Yeah, we played a game of Catan. I remember the night very well. We played a game of Catan, and that was Catan with wine, which is the best way to play.
Absolutely.
Spice and I bombed, of course. And then like the game ends and we weren't ready to like disperse. Part of it was like the news and the sort of like the state of awe we were all entering. And so we sitting at the coveted Swarthmore basketball table with all of the signatures of every player from the program over the last half decade or so. And we spent like 2 hours almost going to each name of the like 40 or 50 names on that board and just saying something really brief about the guy, like whatever first popped into our head, like a quick comment, a quick story, give them a cheers and take a sip of wine. And we went through a lot of wine that way. And that was a great experience to sort of end my sophomore career on. This is like another poetic way to pay tribute to everyone that's participated on my journey. So that was February, or that was March.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone knows April, May, June, July. That just sort of buzzed by. I'm quite good at a quarantine lifestyle, so I wasn't scratching the walls to get out or anything. Over the summer, we got a little get-together in Dewey. Jared, you probably remember that one. That was fun. Had the guys over in Delaware. Jared flew his own plane into Delaware, which is kind of sick.
That's really sick.
Yeah. We had to go pick him up at some bumblefuck airport out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, Lev did.
Yep.
He said
so that
Lev.
was late summer. Lev scooped you. That was late summer. Had a nice beach get together. The fall, I prepared for my exciting trip out to Ireland. I was going to go spend 2 semesters out in Ireland, getting a master's degree and playing pro ball. And I got to quarantine there for 2 weeks and spend about 3 weeks there. And then they packed up the whole country. So I went home and that sort of all went to shit. But fortunately, I'm going to be able to run it back and try that all out again next year. So something to look forward to. And December was, I got my parents to play Catan. That was a W.
The biggest W of them all right there.
Biggest W of them all. So that's 2020. I'll drink to that. How about you, Spice? You want to bring us home?
Sure, yeah. I mean, for most intensive purposes, mine was almost identical to Jared's.
What was your highlight of the Cali trip? Or I guess you'll get to that when we get there, but I want to know your particular highlight as the Cali guy.
Yeah.
When we get there.
Yeah, so start off January with some Catan. I was saying with Jared earlier, the best basketball team in the nation. We steamrolled through winter break with all the hilarity and D3 problems that ensued with like that Ursinus game where we had to change on the bus. And we didn't have we were down 2 players for some. We were down a Boss because I remember Boss's elbow was still hurt for a lot of the beginning of the year. And then we were down someone else too, I think, right?
George got bonked up doing something.
Yeah.
Like an ankle.
He was back by then. He was definitely back by then. He hurt his ankle at the beginning of the year, but he was back by then.
Right. But I remember the Ursinus game specifically, my words aren't working. We were like down at least 2 people. And the bus, and they're just all those things, and we still managed to win, which I just found.
But this was 2019, dude. You're in the wrong year. Let's
I thought that was the first part of.
Yeah, this was like one of our first conference games.
Winter break. Oh, it was. All right, whatever. I'm so lost. But anyway,
I know.
Whatever. January, it doesn't matter. All the games mixed together when there's not like a loss to like.
Ithaca was a sick game. Like I actually rewatched that game. My dad loves rewatching games. Like every Swarthmore game on YouTube, he's rewatched it like 5 or 6 times at least. And I rewatched Ithaca game with him once, and it was surreal. Like just watching it all unfold is unbelievable. I don't have any real commentary on it. I think it's incredible.
I mean, our NCAA performances have always been crazy. I mean, this year we were absolutely just getting ready to. The loss to Hopkins was like the final gush of kerosene on our fire, and we were absolutely gonna run that straight to the natty. But I think what I always point to for like the best game I've ever been a part of, like as a player, is just that MIT game. Like it's just so unreal. Like because my dad is a really good friend whose son goes to Harvard, and so Harvard only beat MIT by like single digits. Like it was like a close game. I mean, MIT was ranked 14th in the country. Like that I remember whenever I watched the highlight film that always starts, it's like number 7 Swarthmore versus 14 MIT, like a final four matchup in your backyard, and just setting the record for threes and just absolutely obliterating this very good team. Like we watched them play like Skidmore. I don't even remember. They dismantled the poor team before them.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, like we weren't worried because we're us, but we were just like, all right, like, this is a good team. Like that wasn't surprising.
Why the hell are we playing them in the second round?
Yeah. And yeah.
I'm pretty sure we played 5
we did
top 15 ranked teams to end the year.
The second round, we always get paired up against some powerhouse, I feel like, in the second round. Not
Nobody
this year.
loves Swarthmore, man. The Centennial doesn't get enough respect.
I mean, Ithaca was good, though. Ithaca was good, but they were still good, but they weren't as good as, I don't think, as MIT or
Wesleyan.
Despite the beating we put on both of those teams.
Yeah, Swarthmore hadn't earned the respect until last year, and then they went ahead and gave us a big plate of cheese.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've gotten off track on my 2020. Those are all previous years. So yeah, February, March, all the stories you told, COVID. And then my COVID experience was different than both of yours because I actually had my 21st birthday in the midst of heavy quarantining, which was
lackluster.
Yeah, it was underwhelming, I guess was the adjective I was about to use. Lackluster, all those lukewarm adjectives come to mind. We made the most out of it. I remember I had a big presentation like pretty early, and so that's how it started. And then we worked out how to like socially distance, visit some of my friends in the area, and we went to my house. All my friends, it was really funny. They all gave me like a bottle of wine, and then my sister would like give them a Jello shot, and we did like a Jello shot together. And it was like happy 21st, because I was like one of the last of my friends to turn 21. And so like we made it fun, but I was definitely ready to be at Worth for like Worth, or like at SWAT, like Worth stock or something. Just yeah.
I remember my 21st was similar in the sense that it was also spring break, and we did a dinner at Bertucci's the night before I turned 21. And so like I wasn't even technically 21, so I didn't even like order any booze or anything. We just had a big team dinner, which was great, but not at all the traditional 21-year-old bash. But sorry, I cut you off. Please continue.
I was just going to talk about the months of nothing.
Summer, yeah.
I looked for like a summer internship and like wasn't really able to find one, and so I kind of like did like a off the cuff thing with my dad where I'd like help him with some stuff, and then was just still looking for things. And then in the fall, as I was also doing that, I was also trying to figure out how we were going to figure out the fall, because we finally made a decision that I was taking a year off school, which it didn't come too lightly. I was going back and forth. And I was like, all right, well, if we are taking a year off, I want to like do whatever we can. So got the guys to come to Cali, which was absolutely the highlight of 2020.
So sick. I didn't even talk about that when I was talking, which I'm ashamed of.
Because you just were, I mean, you were only there for like a week of it, but it was just so, I still can't believe we did that. Like, we just got all 6 people. It took a global pandemic for me to get that many of my very good friends out to California.
Yeah, that's in Cali, baby.
Yeah. And so, I mean, my house was just perfectly situated as, like just away from everything. Like, it was just ideal because we're not in a city. We're not
accommodating and remote.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I just remember the first couple weeks, it was just bizarre. Like, it was like Pete, Rye, and a boss. And I was like, I just cannot believe you guys are in California right now. And then we picked up Jared like a couple days later, and then eventually picked up H and Connor, which, like, it was so bizarre that Connor was there, like, because Connor's whole first week was with H, and so which was just also the like alumni that came. I mean, you, H, Cam showed up. I was so rattled when Cam hit me up to come. I was like, he's like, is it okay if I come? I was like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. Like, when do you think? He's like, oh, I'm thinking like Monday. I was like, oh. I was like, yeah, totally.
That's electric, dude. Oh,
it was just so.
I'm so happy for y'all. Like, I've thought about it a lot, and obviously y'all got the short end of the stick. I mean, as much as it sucked to have my senior year cut short at the end, like, it definitely would have sucked more to like have my senior year like fractured and have the class broken up by who's taking classes, who's not. Like, y'all are in a pretty shitty boat, but you got one hell of an alternative in California, and I'm really glad that came to fruition for y'all.
Yeah, and so that was, it's hard to even pick a favorite thing. Like, Joshua Tree was our first real outing, which was so much more fun than I thought, because I'd been to Joshua Tree like once when I was in like 7th grade. We did like a one night like overnight camping thing, and it was just really hot, and I just remember that, like, that's all I remember about Joshua Tree. And so we went, had a great time blazing our own trail, just picking a pile of rocks and just climbing to the top of it. NorCal was a lot of fun from the boat, and then Yosemite was unreal. The first time going to Yosemite. But I mean, I think like the highlight for me was really just like the random little things we did, like just going to the beach, like when Rye, like on like a Wednesday or some random day, it was like, hey, like, do you guys want to go to the beach? And like, I'd always like not really want to, and I'd be like, sure, like, let's do it. And I was always so glad we did. We were just sitting out there, like him, me, and Pete, or like after people left, it was like Nate, Jules, Ryan, and me, and we're just like floating out on the water, and it was just so just great. Like,
having everybody gather around on Friday night for an episode of Mando.
Yeah. Oh, on the Blue Couch. Yeah. Or that
NFL
Sunday,
Red Zone.
Yeah, Sunday Red Zone. That was good. I'm glad like Rye and people started like actually wanting to do stuff, because like it was really cool. And like, obviously I'm looking back fondly, but if we had just vegetated every Sunday, I would have been very mad at us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was so just spreading out like 9 deep on the Blue Couch. And so yeah, then the year with some holidays with my family. My sister came back into town, which was chaotic as always, because she just, we always joke, like, she brings, like, when she leaves, the house just seems like awkwardly quiet, because she just brings like so much energy and noise and just everything. Then differently this time, my parents left with her because they're possibly checking out houses, so I'm just home alone now.
Watch out for the wet bandits.
Very, very important. Good talk.
Great talk.
From Home Alone, Spice. I don't know if you're picking up what I'm putting down, but
I didn't know they were called the Wet Bandits, but I know
they're called the Wet Bandits because they plug up the sink after they rob the house and flood the house.
They're wet. The bandits are wet.
That's why I call
them. They're wet and they're bandits. They're wet bandits.
I haven't watched Home Alone in a long time, but I immediately thought of fending the house off against invaders. like that.
They were going to be the Moist Marauders, but
Yeah, they're not dry bandits. I'll tell you that much.
not Dry Bandits.
Got it.
So put some like Hot Wheels on the floor and like
Yeah.
melt your doorknob or something. I forget how he does it.
Mm-hmm.
Does
Yeah, it was Hot Wheels.
He's crazy. Yeah, those guys. So yeah, 2020 was pretty bad for.
It was a movie, bro. It was a movie. 2020 was a
movie. It honestly was, and it will be a movie one day. But
wasn't it already a movie, or was that 2016?
2012 was the year was supposed to be.
2012, yeah.
Yeah. Which I saw a hilarious like video where this guy broke down that like the Mayans or someone didn't acknowledge daylight savings, or like there was some big event where we changed like the way we use the calendar. And so like the Mayans 2012 actually added up to be 2020.
Thanks, Mayans.
I know.
All right. It's time for the wrap-up music.
Absolutely. I forgot to tell you, yeah, I recorded like the chorus of New Shoes, and I'm gonna play that for the intro. And I guess
Yeah, you like that song?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
I figured it'd be right up your alley.
Yeah, it was super easy to learn on guitar.
He's this Scottish guy that one of my buddies over in Ireland got me onto, like Paolo Nutini. Like who knew? But
yeah, his name I didn't
fun
know.
to listen to.
Yeah. But no, definitely. So, all right. Thank you for your time.
Straight from Ireland to Cali. That's kind of wild.
Thanks for joining us, Jer. You're welcome anytime.
Yep.
And yeah, good night. Signing off. See you next time.
Happy New Year. Bye.
Happy New Year, everyone.